Hello, Kaiser here, and I welcome you back to another quick and simple full body workout. So this workout is going to have more emphasis on lower reps and heavier loads. So as you can see here, I'm starting off with trap bar deadlift. This is one of my favorite exercises as well, just because it's so biomechanically friendly, and the smooth is just very, very lift in comparison to deadlift. Not that there's anything wrong with deadlift, and conventional deadlifts are actually one of my favorites, but this one just takes it to another level. And the biomechanics aren't that different, but it's a lot more friendly to the lower back, and it makes it easier to recover from, right? Because deadlifts in general are very, very taxing, because the potential for its loading capacity is very, very high, right? This one you can also do it for a lot of reps too, right? So without fatiguing your back. I mean, your back will fatigue, but it won't fatigue your back as much as when you're doing conventional deadlift, especially when you're doing them for reps. So over here, I actually did ramping sets, so I just built up to a one top heavy set, and so I have 300 pounds here, and I just did it for 3 reps, and then I'll move the reps up as I progress with it. Next up here is pull-ups, so nothing too complicated here. So the one thing I like to do is that if I'm doing a hinge type of movement, I like to follow it up by a pull-up or some sort of vertical pull. In this case, I have weighted pull-up, just because today is like what I consider a heavy day. So typically, especially when I'm doing calisthenics movements, particularly pull-ups, I like to do bodyweight pull-ups on a lighter day or when I'm doing more reps, and then I like to load it up when I'm doing pull-ups on heavy day, which in this case I have 50 pounds on. But this one's actually my last set, which I added another 5 pounds on, which makes it 55 plus my body weight. So just for reference, I weigh about 145 pounds. So if you do the math, that's not well over 200 pounds, just a little above 200 pounds. Next up here is overhead press. So I'm just warming up here with the bar, and then I actually proceeded to my working sets here, just because I'm not a strong OHPer or overhead presser, so I didn't think there was any point to put on 10, so I just went straight into loading those 25s. So one of my favorite movements as well for developing shoulders, and I credit a lot of my shoulder development to this movement right here. And in the last couple years, actually, I haven't done any lateral raises or any isolations for the shoulders, but when I did this movement consistently, I saw tremendous development in my shoulders. So, and it's really that simple. If you just pick a movement and then get strong at them, you'll see development, right? So especially in the shoulder region, right? You basically just get strong at them, and then the results will come automatically. And here's the obligatory neck extension. For me, this is mandatory because I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's important to have a very, very strong neck, because obviously you don't want to get injured, especially because when you're rolling, there's always that tendency for your opponents to pull your neck, and sometimes they'll really, really yank it because they want to get into an advantageous position over you, right? So you want to make sure that I want to make sure that my neck is as strong as possible. Obviously, I don't want to be training with an injured neck. I mean, that just wouldn't be possible. But you don't want to be rolling there with the weak neck, because especially when you're getting caught in rear naked chokes, right? One thing I've noticed too is that, like, the guys who have really, really huge neck, when I'm rolling with them, it makes it a lot more difficult to catch them in a rear naked choke, especially even if you have their back taken. You're gonna have a hard time with somebody who has a thick neck, because you're just not gonna choke them out that quickly, right? So very, very important. So here's another neck exercise, which is the standard neck curl. Nothing too complicated here, nothing too fancy, just doing these for higher reps. As I've mentioned before, I think it's preferable to do these in higher reps, just because you don't want to load your neck up too much, because you don't want to risk pulling something, especially when you're doing neck extensions, because if you load it up with too much weight and then you descend down, you might end up pulling something there, and that would not be good, and that may result in injury. So you want to be very, very careful. And I think it's a lot safer to do neck exercises in higher reps. Even though this day is what I considered heavy day, I just said screw it. Well, not that I say screw it, but it's a default for me to just do these in higher reps, right? So I gotta say, this loading pin is actually very, very helpful, because before I used to just hold the weights together and that'll keep them in place, but this one makes it even better for securing them, and so I don't risk losing grip of the plate, especially when you get stronger at them. So I'm actually glad I have this equipment at home, especially when I'm doing neck extension. The weight is just that much more even, and I don't feel like one side of my neck is being loaded than the other. But yeah, that's the workout, guys. So if you have any questions down below, feel free to comment. And with that said, I'll see you in the next video.